ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo SportsCenter. I am Don, and today we are going to discuss whether or not the Buffalo Sabres' defense is actually better this year. But before I get to all the reasons why I believe they are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and join the Discord. All of those links are down in the description below, so make sure to support us on our other platforms. Now, let's get to the burning question here, why you clicked on this video. And I think that the Sabres defense is better. Now, when you look at the raw statistics, it paints a little bit of a different picture. Not so rosy for the Sabres. They're still giving up over 3 goals a game. In fact, it's 3.07 goals per game if you want to get specific. However, in the grander scheme of things in the NHL world, that's actually not terrible. In fact, it's 14th best in the NHL. Last year, the Sabres were ranked near the bottom in terms of goals against. Last year, the Sabres would give up a little over 3.6 goals a game. That put them around 27th, 26, 27, 28, that sort of range. So last year, the defense was terrible. In fact, god-awful. The reason why the Sabres didn't make the playoffs was because of their inconsistent defense. And they could score a lot of goals, and they did last year. They scored nearly 4 goals a game. The problem was you can't score 4 or 5 goals every single game in an 82-game schedule and expect to make the playoffs. The Sabres barely missed out. They missed out by a singular point. But this year, it's gotten better. The penalty kill especially, that's a big area where the Sabres were giving up a lot of goals against. That has significantly improved. In fact, the Sabres are now a top 10 team in the NHL when killing off penalties. And that factor, plus individual play, has really helped the Sabres. Now, we could move on and talk about a couple of defensemen, with the first guy here being my man Henri Jokijarhu. He has really improved this year. Now, I remember a couple years ago when he was traded from Chicago, and in his first 3 seasons with the Sabres, he was very inconsistent. He wasn't at all a reliable top 4 defenseman. He lacked positional awareness in the defensive zone, wasn't great with the puck, didn't transition all that well either out of the defensive zone and into the neutral and offensive zones. So Jokijarhu definitely struggled, but this year it's been some sort of a renaissance for the man. He's got 2 goals already and 7 points in only 14 games played. He's on pace to shatter his previous career highs. He has a +3 plus minus, and he is having a little bit lower in terms of time on ice. Before, he's been playing upwards of 20 minutes a game. Now he's playing around 17 minutes, and that, I feel like, is a huge factor in determining how Henri Jokijarhu has improved, because his minutes have been cut down a little bit. They've been given to guys like Matthias Samuelsson, Connor Clifton, Eric Johnson, Ryan Johnson as well. And because of that, I think Jokijarhu looks fresher, he looks more excited, and we're seeing some of the attributes that made Jason Botterill want to trade for Jokijarhu way back when he did. And I love the play of Jokijarhu. He's been an awesome fit next to Owen Power on that second pair. And this is the first season, in fact, where he's finally looked like a top 4 defenseman. It's absolutely wild for me to be saying that in 2023 that, yes, Henri Jokijarhu looks like a top 4 D-man. Now, will he carry it over into the final 70-something games of this year? Remains to be seen. It's only been 14 games here so far. He's played in every single one, and he's looked really good. It'll be a huge determining factor for whether or not the Sabres extend him or not. It depends on how this next part of his season goes. He really needs to continue to impress because, boy, he is impressive. Now, another guy that I think has really improved here for the Buffalo Sabres has been Owen Power. Now, last year was his first actual season in the NHL. He had a little cameo the season prior, but last year he was a rookie, and he at times looked extremely uncomfortable. He had times of matureness and poise, but there were other times where he wouldn't shoot the puck. He'd hang on to the puck for way too long. He'd get stripped. He'd be caught lacking. He'd be caught sleeping as well. So there were just times where it didn't quite click for him. Well, this year, outside of that one Philly game, the Friday night, and the second of a back-to-back with the Flyers, he's been really solid. extremely solid. Now, I mentioned his defensive partner already in Henri Jokijarhu, but Owen Power, with more power play time as well, has seen an increase, a little bump so far in his offensive output. He's already got that goal, which he didn't get till January of last year. He's already have 8 points in only 14 games as well. So, in terms of that standpoint, he's been really good. And his time on ice, where you've seen Henri Jokijarhu's go down, Owen Powers has only gone up. He looks to be an anchor behind Dahlin on that second pairing here for the Buffalo Sabres. And if he continues to progress like he has, this Sabres goals against average will continue to decrease, as it has over the last stretch or so. But let's continue on and talk about the Sabres' goaltending, because you can't have good defense if you guys aren't making the saves in between the pipes. And the 3 Sabres goalies have been making saves. I mean, it's been a little inconsistent, so I can't give them critical acclaim just yet, because there have been games where Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen still has a real doozer of a game. And Eric Comrie, before he went down injured, he was playing, I thought, really solid. And Devin Levi had a very rocky start to the season, but over the last couple of games or so, 3 or 4 starts, it seems that he's finally settled down a little bit. And he just came back from an injury too, and he had arguably his best game of the year when he carried the Sabres to a 3-2 victory over the Minnesota Wild. And before that, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen carried this team to a couple victories, namely the 5-2 victory against the Philadelphia Flyers, where he made nearly 40 saves in that game. And he also had a shutout against the Colorado Avalanche. So even UPO, someone that I was ready to give up on at the end of last year, even in the summer, when the Sabres were being linked to a number of goalies on the market, I was ready to give up on him. But after a tough start for all 3 of these goalies, they all have had their moments. Now, we won't be seeing Comrie for a little while now, but the Sabres really have some decisions to make here at the goaltending position, because you have 3 goalies that you have in a rotation that are playing pretty decent. Devin Levi, the more starts he gets into, the more saves he makes, the better he seems to play for UPO. The Sabres just have to keep sheltering him and using him sparingly. Now, they are, with Comrie out, rotating Levi and Luukkonen every other game, essentially. But they each have had their moments. Even that overtime loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen carried that team into a point. Now, was he stupid for keeping the play moving in that overtime period, which eventually led to that Hurricanes game-winning goal? Yes. But UPO made a lot of big saves that got his team to that moment. They would not have been in overtime had it not been for UPO and his amazing saves. The same goes for Levi. The Sabres wouldn't have won that Minnesota Wild game if he didn't make some big saves. And they wouldn't have beaten Toronto in Toronto if Levi had made a couple more big saves, despite him already giving up 4 in that game. So, the goaltending position has really improved. Now, before I conclude talking about why the Sabres defense is better, I really do have to mention Ryan Johnson, the rookie from Minnesota that really took a while to sign his entry-level contract. There was rumors he wouldn't, but he finally did. And now that he's in Buffalo, he looks fantastic. The Sabres really have another really good roster decision to make, whether or not they keep him up when guys like Matthias Samuelsson and Jacob Bryson come back to full health, because Ryan Johnson is performing at an NHL level. It doesn't look like he wants to go back to Rochester, and I also don't want him to go back to Rochester. Ryan Johnson looks like a seamless fit into that top 4, and he's getting huge minutes right now with Rasmus Dahlin. So that gives the Sabres yet another really good defensive option, and it wouldn't surprise you to learn that when the Sabres defense has improved, they've begun to win some more games. They beat the Flyers, they beat the Maple Leafs, they beat the Wild, and after that horror show of a start at the beginning of the season, the Sabres look like they finally have righted the ship a little bit, and it's not too surprising. I thought they would come out with a slow start, especially with a couple new guys trying to learn the system. Guys like Connor Clifton, Eric Johnson. I haven't really mentioned them in this video, but Clifton and Johnson both seem to have found their footing as well here for the Sabres. So that's all good news. Hopefully they continue to get better. And folks, Let me know in the comment section, do you think the Sabres defense is actually better? Let me know yes or no in the comment section down below. And of course, before y'all leave, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I was Don. This is Buffalo Sports Center. Hope to see y'all in the next video. Peace out.